The promise. The sky was full of stars. It was one of those quiet summer nights when everything feels too big, too far, and too unknown. A small boy named Leo sat on the rooftop of his old wooden house, his feet hanging over the edge. Next to him was Sarah, his best friend. They had known each other since they were 5. Now they were 10, and tomorrow, Sarah was moving to another planet colony with her family. It was a government move, something about her father's work. Leo didn't understand all of it. He only knew one thing. She was leaving and he was staying. "Do you think we'll ever see each other again?" Sarah asked, her voice low. Leo looked up at the stars. He had always loved them. They made him feel small, but also full of hope. "I don't know," he said, "but I'll find you one day, no matter where you are." Sarah smiled sadly. "That's what people say in stories." Leo turned to her, serious now. "No, I mean it. I'll find you, and when I do, I'll bring you something from the stars." Sarah laughed. "Like what? A rock?" He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small silver ring, old, scratched, probably from his mother's drawer. He held it out. "I'll bring you this. For real. One day I'll marry you. That's my promise." Sarah's eyes widened. Then she looked away quickly, hiding her face. "You're just a kid, Leo. I won't be forever." They sat in silence after that. The stars above them blinked quietly as if listening. Suddenly the sky flashed. A strange blue light shot across the horizon, followed by a loud boom. The ground shook. Birds flew out of trees. Dogs started barking all over the colony. Sarah gasped. "What was that?" Leo stood up fast, staring toward the dark hills outside the town. Smoke was rising from the mountains. "I think something crashed." Sarah looked scared. "We should go inside." But Leo's eyes were bright now, curious, alive. "No, I want to see. I'm going." "Leo, are you crazy?" He turned to her and smiled. "Maybe, but I promised you the stars, remember?" Before she could stop him, he jumped off the roof and ran toward the hills. Sarah called after him, but he didn't look back. He ran past sleeping houses, quiet fields, and the broken fence at the edge of the forest. The night felt alive around him, buzzing, pulsing. Something strange was happening. As he climbed the hill, the air grew warm. The smell of burned metal filled his nose. Then he saw it, something huge, half buried in the dirt. It looked like a ship, but not human. It was smooth, black, and humming with blue lights. Leo took a step closer. The ground glowed under his feet. A door opened. He froze. Inside, it was all light and mist. A voice spoke, but not out loud. It echoed in his head. "Do not be afraid, Leo." He backed away. Who are you?" "We are not here to hurt you. We have been watching. You are brave. You are kind. You are chosen." Leo shook his head. "No, I'm just a kid. I was just watching the stars. You wanted to touch them, now you can. But once you enter, you cannot return. Not yet." Leo thought of Sarah, her laugh, her smile, the promise. "Can I come back later?" "In time, when you are ready. But the journey will be long. Many years may pass." Leo looked at the ring in his hand. He closed his fingers around it. "Okay," he said. "Then I'll go, but I have to come back. I made a promise." "Then step forward, Leo of Earth." He did. The door closed. The ship rose quietly into the sky, leaving no sound, no fire, just a faint trail of light. Back in the town, Sarah waited by the fence. Hours passed. Morning came. But Leo never returned. Some said he ran away. Others said wild animals took him. But Sarah, she looked at the stars every night after that. And deep in her heart she knew he was out there. And one day, he would come back with the stars. The ship and the choice darkness surrounded Leo. But it wasn't the darkness of night. It felt different. Soft, alive, like he was floating inside a dream. He opened his eyes slowly. Bright lights blinked above him. The air smelled like metal and rain. He was lying on a silver bed inside a room that looked nothing like Earth. The walls were smooth, glowing faintly. He sat up, confused, heart pounding. Where am I? A soft voice echoed in his mind, not from the air, but from inside his head. You are safe, Leo. You are inside the vessel. You are far from danger now. He jumped off the bed and looked around. Who's there? What is this place? I am Arya. I am the ship. I am the mind that guides this vessel. The ship talks? Leo whispered. A light appeared in front of him, forming the shape of a woman, not real but made of blue light. Her face was kind but not human. Her eyes were stars. I don't understand, Leo said. You touched the stars, Arya replied. And now the stars will test you. Suddenly, the wall behind him turned clear like glass. Leo gasped. Outside there were no trees, no mountains, no earth. Just darkness and stars, thousands of them. The ship was flying. Wait, no, take me back. Sarah, I didn't say goodbye. Arya looked at him gently. You made a promise, and the stars listened. You said you wanted to find them. Now you have. Leo shook his head. I didn't mean it like this. I just wanted to give her something real. Something from the stars. Not disappear. You have a choice now, Arya said. You can return to your world and forget everything. You will wake up in your bed and it will be like none of this happened. Leo blinked. And the other choice? You stay. You join us. There is a war coming, Leo. A war that will touch every world, even Earth. We need help. We need you. Leo laughed nervously. Me? I'm just a boy. I don't even know how to ride a bike. Arya's eyes sparkled. But you have something more important. Courage, hope, and a reason to fight. He looked down at his hand. The silver ring was still there, glowing faintly. You will grow, Arya said. You will learn. You will become something Earth has never seen. Leo stared out into the stars. They looked so close now, not far dreams, but real places, full of danger, full of wonder. Will I come back? He asked again. In time. But when you return, Earth will not know you, and time moves differently in space. Many years may pass for Earth. He closed his eyes, thought of Sarah, her smile, her voice, the way she laughed under the stars. Then he opened his eyes strong. I said I'd bring her the stars. I meant it. Arya nodded. So be it, Leo of Earth. From this moment on, you belong to the stars. 5 years later, outside Earth, Time Leo was no longer a boy. His body had grown, taller, stronger. His hands could crush steel. His eyes had changed, glowing faintly like silver fire. But the biggest change was inside him. He had trained with beings from every corner of the galaxy. Warriors made of stone, hunters who flew, creatures who moved through shadows. He had learned languages, tactics, how to fight, how to survive. And every night when he was alone, he held the silver ring and whispered her name. Sarah. He kept a small photo of her, the last one from Earth, printed on paper, slightly torn. She was smiling in it. He never forgot. Other fighters called him Ghost. He moved too fast to see, struck too hard to block. His human strength was strange to them, his emotions even more. Why do you fight so hard? A commander once asked. Leo answered, because I made a promise, but peace never lasts. One day, deep in a red star system, Leo heard something that froze his blood. A message, stolen from enemy code. Target Earth, full harvest. Begin cycle soon. He ran to Arya. Earth is in danger. I have to go back. Arya hesitated. You are not ready. The Draken have grown stronger. Earth will not understand you now. I don't care, I don't need them to understand. I need them safe. She looked at him with soft sadness. If you return, your time with us ends. You will be alone. Leo placed the silver ring into a small box and held it close to his chest. I was always alone, he said. But not anymore. I have her, and I have a promise to keep. Back on Earth, 15 years later, to them, it was night in the colony town where Leo once lived. Sarah stood alone in the garden. She was 25 now, a teacher. Her smile was still kind, but her eyes were tired. She had stopped believing in miracles. Mostly, she still wore a chain around her neck. The chain had a small ring. Silver, old, scratched. She didn't know why she still wore it. Just then, the wind changed. The air grew quiet, and far above the hills, in the same place Leo had vanished, the stars began to move. A ship cut silently through the sky, black as shadow. It made no sound. It left no trail. But Sarah looked up, and for a moment, she felt something. Something familiar. Something coming home. The making of a warrior. The training moon was not a place for the weak. Its surface was dry, cracked, and always burning. 2 suns hung in the sky like angry eyes. Nothing grew here. Nothing smiled. Only the strong survived. Leo stood in the middle of a broken battlefield. Around him were creatures of every kind, some with wings, some with claws, some that moved like shadows. They all stared at him. He was the only human. Begin. A voice echoed through the sky. The battle started. Leo ran. He ducked under a flying blade, rolled behind a rock and grabbed a spear from the ground. A beast 3 times his size rushed him. He didn't think. He jumped, turned, and drove the weapon through the creature's chest. The others hesitated. This human was learning. Years passed. Leo trained on cold planets, dark moons, and inside ancient ships where time moved differently. He was pushed, broken, healed, and pushed again. He learned from the best. A creature made of fire who taught him pain. A blind warrior who could hear fear in a heartbeat. A silent monk who moved like wind and vanished like smoke. He became faster, stronger, smarter. But he didn't become like them. He stayed human, and that made him dangerous. On one mission, Leo entered the dead city of Varn. The buildings were tall, made of bone and metal. Everyone had vanished. The enemy, the Draken, had been there. Leo moved through the silence like a ghost. He found a little girl, alone, blue skin, glowing eyes. She stared at him. "Are you the human?" Leo nodded. She whispered, "They said humans are monsters." He knelt beside her. "I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to help." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "Then why did no one come before?" Leo had no answer. But that day he swore something new. Not just to return to Earth, but to make sure no child would be left alone again. His name began to spread across systems, in the shadows of markets, on the lips of soldiers, in the war rooms of generals. Have you heard of the human ghost? Some said he could stop ships, with his hands. Others said he had no fear, no pain. But one thing was always the same. He came. He fought. He vanished. One day Leo stood before the Council of the Stars. The oldest races gathered there, the ones who remembered the First War, the ones who feared the Draken. "The enemy is preparing," Leo said. "They're hiding, growing. Earth is in danger." One of the elders leaned forward. "And why do you care for Earth so much, human?" Leo stared at him. "Because Earth is where love lives." They laughed. But Arya, the AI who had become more than just a ship, spoke through the chamber. "He does not speak from pride. He speaks from a promise." Later, in his quarters, Leo opened a small box. Inside was the silver ring. He hadn't touched it in months. He didn't need to. Just knowing it was there gave him strength. He pressed a button. A small hologram lit up. An old photo of Sarah, smiling under the stars. He whispered, "I'm coming, Sarah. I'll find you. Just a little longer." But even as he spoke, darkness moved across the galaxy. The Draken were not just monsters. They were something older, something worse. They didn't want to conquer. They wanted to erase. The day everything changed began quietly. Leo was tracking a Draken scout ship on the edge of the dust line, a zone full of dead stars and broken planets. But when he boarded the ship, he found something he never expected, a map, not just of star systems, but of Earth. Detailed, marked, planned. They weren't just watching Earth, they were preparing to harvest it. And worse, Sarah's colony town was the entry point. Leo's hands shook. He slammed his fist into the console. The glass cracked. "Arya," he growled. "We're going home." The journey to Earth wasn't easy. The path was blocked. The old wormholes were closed. Time was unstable. Arya had to cut through forgotten space, places filled with lost ships and dying stars. As they flew, Leo trained harder. He pushed his limits. He sharpened his mind. He remembered everything he had learned. He wasn't the same boy who ran after a falling star. Now, he was the falling star. When Earth finally appeared through the viewing window, Leo stood silently. It looked the same, but it felt different. He wore black armor now. Not heavy, smooth and flexible like skin. His face was marked with light, scars. His eyes, no longer innocent. He didn't plan to make a big return. He planned to protect her from the shadows. At night, he landed near the mountains where it all began. He walked quietly through the colony town. Nothing had changed. Same roads, same lights, but there was fear in the air. People didn't smile. Soldiers stood at the corners. The government had become strange, watching the sky too much, hiding something. Leo moved in silence, never seen, until he reached the school. She was there. Sarah, older, wiser, still beautiful. She was teaching children. Her voice was calm, soft. Leo's heart ached. He didn't speak. He just watched. But as he turned to leave, she looked up, her eyes locked onto the shadow outside the window. She didn't scream. She didn't speak. But her heart whispered one word. "Leo." Returned to Earth, the air smelled like memory. After so many years across distant stars, Leo had forgotten what Earth truly felt like. The soil was richer here. The gravity hugged tighter. The sky was quieter, but also heavier. He stood atop a cliff, hidden by trees. Below, the colony town stretched out like a frozen photograph. The way, same roads, the same rooftops, the same windmills turning slowly in the breeze. But it was not the same. He could feel it, the tension. People walked faster. Lights stayed on later. Armed drones floated above buildings. Walls had been built where there used to be fences. The world hadn't moved forward. It had curled into itself. Leo had returned in silence. No fireworks, no parades. No welcome home. Only the ship Arya buried deep beneath the forest, silent and sleeping like a ghost under the earth. "You shouldn't be here." Arya's voice echoed softly in his head. "You are no longer theirs." "I'm not here to belong," Leo whispered back. "I'm here to protect." He looked down at the silver ring around his neck. He hadn't taken it off in years. And now finally she was close. Sarah. She lived in a small house near the school. She taught language, history, and basic survival to children. But at night, she looked up at the stars, just as she always did. Leo had watched her from rooftops, from shadows, from behind trees. She had grown into herself, stronger, steadier. She laughed less but smiled deeper. There was something different in her eyes, something shaped by waiting, even if she never admitted it. She wore a ring on a chain around her neck, His ring. But Sarah wasn't alone anymore. She had a fiancé, Mark, a local security officer. The kind who followed rules but didn't believe in dreams. He didn't understand why Sarah sometimes cried when no one was watching. He didn't know what the ring meant. She never told him. Leo saw them walking together, talking, planning a future. It tore at him. But he never interfered. Not yet. Then the sky cracked. One night, without warning, a black streak split the sky above the colony. A sound like tearing metal echoed across the mountains. People ran outside, pointing, lights flickered, the air turned cold. Leo stared up. His heart sank. He knew that sound. Draken. They were here. Leo didn't wait. He put on the armor he had kept buried for months. A smooth black suit that hummed with energy. It wrapped around him like memory. His hands moved without thought. His breath calmed. In seconds, he vanished into the dark. The crash site was in the northern hills. A small ship, black and sharp like a fang, was buried in the earth. Its doors were open. Smoke hissed from the sides. He moved inside, fast and silent. No bodies, no signs of battle, just one symbol painted on the wall in glowing red. HX1, Earth marked. Leo stepped back. His mind raced. It wasn't an invasion yet. It was a scout, a signal, a warning, and the Draken never warned twice. That night, Sarah found a mark outside her house, a strange spiral symbol drawn into the dirt. It pulsed faintly. With red light, she didn't know what it meant, but when she touched it, she heard a whisper, just one word: run. The next day, panic spread. The government shut down comms. They said it was a weather event, but the people were not fools. Some started packing. Some stayed silent. Most watched the sky, and in secret corners, Leo moved like wind. He broke into government files, listened to encrypted channels, found maps and codes hidden behind security layers. He saw what Earth's leaders were hiding. The Draken had been talking to them. Earth wasn't under attack. It had been sold. Leo's blood ran cold. Earth wasn't prepared. It had been offered. And his town, Sarah's town, was to be the landing point. Quiet. Small. Perfect for a hidden arrival. They thought no one would fight. They had no idea he had returned. That evening, Sarah stayed late at the school. She was alone, organizing papers, when the lights flickered. And then she heard it. Footsteps, soft, careful, familiar. She turned. A figure stood in the hallway, half in shadow, tall, armored, silent. She didn't scream. She didn't run. She just stared. And then, softly, "Leo?" He stepped forward. His face was older, sharper, marked by time. But the eyes, they were the same. "Hi," he said. His voice cracked. Tears filled her eyes. "It's really you." He smiled, sad and tired. "I promised I'd come back." She walked forward, reached out, touched his chest as if making sure he was real, and then she slapped him, hard. 15 years, Leo. 15 years and nothing. No sign, no message, nothing. "I wasn't allowed to send anything. It would have put you in danger. But she hugged him before he could finish and whispered, "I waited." Then the walls shook. Outside, lights flared. Sirens began to scream. Sarah looked at him, wide-eyed. "What's happening?" Leo stepped back and pulled his helmet on. The suit sealed with a hum. "They're here." The hidden war begins. It started with silence. No explosions. No ships in the sky. No open fire, just silence. The kind that came before something dark moved into the light. The next morning, the colony town awoke, changed. Power outages swept across sectors. Communications failed. Security drones vanished from patrol. Military stations were offline for upgrades. People didn't panic. Not yet. They just whispered. Something wasn't right. Leo stood in the shadows above the town square watching. His helmet was off, his expression unreadable. His mind scanned through signals, intercepted codes, radiation patterns. It wasn't random. The Draken were doing what they always did. First weaken trust, then remove sight, then strike fast. But this time, Leo was here, and he wasn't alone. That night, a fire broke out in a nearby data center. It wasn't reported on the network, no alarms, but Leo knew. He had set it himself. Inside that building were transmitters meant to guide the Draken ships through Earth's defenses. The humans in charge didn't even know. They thought they were just running weather systems. Leo made sure the transmitters burned. When the firemen came, they found no one inside, just a small mark on the control panel. A ring, silver. Old across the town, whispers spread. Someone is fighting back. We saw a shadow fast, too fast. The attackers just vanished. Maybe it's him. Old stories returned. Some said Leo had been taken by aliens. Some said he had died. Others believed in something else, that he had become a weapon, a ghost. Now the ghost was back. But this was not a one-man war. The Draken were testing Earth's nerves. Their scouts moved like fog, cloaked, silent, merciless. Leo fought them in tunnels, on rooftops, in forests. He struck hard, vanished faster. He left no bodies, only warnings. One night, he intercepted a Draken message. Earth resistance is stronger than expected. Delay full descent. It wasn't victory, but it was hope. Sarah knew now. She knew Leo was back, and that he was no longer just the boy who once promised her the stars. He had become something else. She saw it in his eyes, not just power but pain. A man who had seen too many wars, lost too many friends, carried too many scars. But he still looked at her the same way, like she was the only light in the galaxy. Sarah helped how she could. She gave him access to colony records, old maps, emergency, shelters. She taught the children drills, how to run, where to hide. The government didn't notice. Not yet, but Mark did. Her fiancé. He noticed the long silences, the distant looks, the way she stopped asking about wedding plans. He noticed when she came home smelling like forest and smoke. One night, he followed her, and he saw Leo, standing by the river, armored, watching the stars. Sarah was there too, laughing, crying. Mark didn't confront them, not then, but the betrayal sat in him like fire. 3 days later, Leo was ambushed, not by Draken, by humans. Local patrol caught him moving through an abandoned station. They had been tipped off, exact coordinates, exact time. Traps were set, explosives, snipers. They thought he was the threat. He could have killed them all. He didn't. He disabled their weapons, knocked them unconscious, and vanished into the night. But he was hurt, bleeding. Sarah found him behind the school, collapsed in the grass. She dragged him inside, locked the doors, and cried as she worked to stop the bleeding. "You saved them," she whispered, "and they turned on you." Leo winced. "Not their fault. They don't know. The real war hasn't begun." She placed her hand on his. "Let me help." He shook his head. "If they know you're with me, they'll take you too." Sarah looked at him, eyes fierce. "I don't care. You kept your promise, now I'll keep mine. I said I'd wait for you, and I did. Now I fight with you." Leo stared at her, then nodded. In the following weeks, the ghost became a symbol. He stopped another scout team from placing a beacon in the canyon. He disabled a tower meant to broadcast Earth's location to the Draken fleet. He rescued 2 missing children, kidnapped by a government black ops group working with off-world mercenaries. He became legend, but legends are dangerous. Mark finally stepped forward. He told the Earth Defense Council everything, about Leo, about Sarah, about the old ship buried. In the forest, they acted fast. They locked the town down, curfew, checkpoints, surveillance. They said it was for safety, but Leo knew better. They weren't trying to protect Earth. They were trying to deliver it. And then it happened. A tear in the sky, visible only to those watching closely. A ripple in the clouds. A shadow behind the moon. The mothership had entered. The system. Leo stood in the forest looking up. The ring around his neck felt heavier than ever. Arya's voice spoke softly in his mind. It's time. Leo clenched his fists. This was no longer a hidden war. It had begun. The truth in the battle. The stars weren't quiet anymore. They pulsed, glowed, and something moved behind them. Not light, not shadow. Something older. Something alive. The Draken mothership had arrived. It hung in orbit like a dead god, silent and massive, cloaked to the world below. But it wasn't hiding. It was waiting. Waiting for Earth to surrender itself. Leo stood on a cliff, the wind pulling at his cloak. His armor was battle-worn, streaked with burn marks and cuts. His eyes scanned the sky, but his thoughts were far away. Behind him, Sarah approached. I saw it, she whispered. That thing in the sky. It doesn't feel real. It's real, Leo said. And it's not here to talk. Sarah stepped beside him. You've known this all along, haven't you? Leo nodded. Since the day I first left. The Draken don't conquer with armies. They destroy from the inside. Governments, systems, trust, they eat it all. He looked at her, and for a moment, the world went still. I tried to keep you away from this. Sarah shook her head. You don't get to protect me from the truth anymore. I'm in it now. We all are. The Earth Defense Council issued a new broadcast that morning. Unauthorized alien activity detected. Enemy threat may be local. Trust your leaders. Obey curfew. Report unknown movement. Sarah watched the screen. The voice was calm, cold, artificial. Then the image glitched for a second, and a symbol flashed. A silver ring. Leo had hijacked the signal, just long enough to send a message to those who were watching, and people were watching. In dark rooms, in sealed bunkers and rebel shelters beneath the cities, small groups of scientists, soldiers, ex-officers, and techs began to whisper his name again. He's back. He never left. The human from the stars. They didn't know his face, but they knew what he stood for. Sarah's home was raided that night. They came fast, masked, armored, silent. Black boots, red lights, pulse rifles. Leo had warned her. She had a backdoor escape route, but she didn't take it. She stood in the living room waiting. Mark was with them. He looked at her like a stranger. You've been hiding him, he said. Helping him. Sarah didn't flinch. I helped the only person who's actually trying to save us. He lowered his voice. He's dangerous. He's the only reason we're still alive. Mark clenched his jaw. I loved you. She looked at him. Then you should have fought with me. He stepped aside. Take her. Leo watched from above as they dragged her away. He could have stopped them. He almost did. But he saw the second team, the one hidden behind the building. Traps, snipers. A third squad waiting in cloaked armor. They wanted him to react. They were baiting the ghost. He closed his eyes, gritting his teeth. Not yet. Sarah was taken to a facility in the mountains, part prison, part lab. She was questioned for hours, not just about Leo, but about what he had become. Did he show signs of enhancement? Is his blood normal? Did he mention any weakness? Sarah gave them nothing, until one of the officers made a mistake. He brought out the ring. Leo's ring. He placed it on the table like a weapon. Sarah stared at it, then smiled. You've already lost. Outside, the lights went out. Every camera, every lock, every drone, disabled. A low hum began to rise in the walls. The officers looked around. What is that? And then, the floor exploded. Smoke, screams, chaos. From the hole in the ground, a figure rose, black armor shining, eyes glowing, blades on his arms like lightning. Leo. They fired. He moved faster. 3 seconds. That's all it took. He broke their guns, knocked them unconscious. Didn't kill anyone except the one who tried to reach for Sarah. That one would never move again. She ran to him, wrapped her arms around him as alarms blared. You came. I always will. They fled through the tunnels, systems collapsing behind them. They reached the surface as ships began to descend, but not human ones. Draken dropships, thousands of them. Earth had waited too long. Leo turned to her. Go to Arya. Go to the ship. You'll be safe. She grabbed his hand. Not without you. I have to fight. Then so do I. The final signal went out. A new broadcast, sent from the stars above to every device on Earth. A voice. Leo's voice. This is not just about Earth. This is about choice. About freedom. About the right to live without being consumed by fear or sold by our own leaders. You don't know me, but I know you. I am you. I left as a boy. I returned as a ghost. Now I fight as a human. They came to take our world. Let's show them it was never theirs to take. The cities lit up with rebellion. Old defense. Grids activated. Hidden tech was powered on. Families ran to bunkers. Former soldiers grabbed their gear. And in the heart of it all stood Leo, the boy who had once promised to bring back the stars, now a warrior leading Earth's first stand. Against the dark, and beside him, Sarah. No longer waiting. Now fighting. The promise. Fulfilled. The sky was on fire. Above Earth, the Draken mothership had dropped its mask. A black mass the size of a continent now loomed over the world, its surface alive with dark energy and spiraling machines. The stars were gone, swallowed by its shadow. Cities across the planet were crumbling. Beams of red light rained down, cutting buildings in half. Coastal defense stations vanished in seconds. The old governments were silent now, useless, but Earth was no longer waiting. It was fighting. From the mountains, deserts, oceans, and hidden spaceports once thought abandoned, humanity rose. The old warriors returned. Hackers cracked into orbital codes. Farmers turned their equipment into launchers. Children carried messages through ruins. Mothers made barricades. Fathers flew drones. And in the center of it all, Leo stood, silent and ready. His black armor flickered with golden light. Not just alien tech anymore. It had fused with him. It responded to his thoughts, his breath, his will. He had become the Ghost Commander. Sarah stood beside him on the cliff, wind blowing through her hair. She wore light armor now, not heavy but enough. She had refused to stay behind. This is madness, she said, looking at the sky. There's too many. Leo looked at her, calm. Good, he said. Then we can finally make this fair. A blast struck the forest behind them. Trees cracked, ground shook, debris flew. The battle had begun, and it wasn't going to be won with firepower alone. Phase 1. Disruption. Leo led a squad of rebel fighters through a hidden canyon beneath the colony. The Draken had set up pulse towers there, beacons that guided their fleet across the surface. If they weren't shut down, Earth's defenses would never lock onto targets. The towers were guarded by hybrid soldiers, part machine, part Draken, brainwashed humans in black skin armor. Leo didn't hesitate. He ran headfirst into the line of fire, his body glowing, absorbing impact, moving faster than any eye could track. He tore through enemies with focused strikes, disabling instead of killing when possible. Behind him, the rebels surged. A boy with a slingshot knocked down a drone. An old woman hacked a control panel using tech she built in her garage. A girl, with no name, dragged a wounded soldier to safety. This was Earth's army now. Phase 2. Infiltration. Sarah and a small unit entered the underground vault, once a research lab, now a Draken communication node. It was hidden beneath her own school. Inside, machines pulsed with a low, throbbing hum, alive and watching. Sarah moved quickly. She remembered the layout, the access codes. She placed signal jammers, rewired old security lines, and uploaded a virus Leo had stolen from deep space. Halfway through, the lights turned red. The door slammed shut. Gas began to hiss from the vents. She was locked in. She coughed, panicking, then heard a voice in her earpiece. Leo. Close your eyes. She did. A second later, the wall exploded. Leo stepped through, smoke around him like a cloak. He pulled her out, holding her like glass. I told you, he said. Always. Phase 3. Ascension. They launched into orbit in a stolen enemy dropship. Disguised, silent. The mothership loomed ahead, a wall of metal and fire. It had no doors, no welcome. Just one weak spot Leo had identified. A core node, buried at its heart. If they could destroy it, the command net would collapse. The invasion would fall apart. But it meant going inside. Sarah stared at the black mass. You sure we'll make it? Leo turned to her. No, she smiled. Good. Then we're already legends. Inside the mothership, it was like a grave. Cold. Endless. Whispers in a language that didn't belong to sound. They fought through beasts with metal bones, machines with human eyes, walls that bled memory. Leo's armor began to fail. His breath grew heavy, but he didn't stop. At the core they found it, the heart of the Draken, not a machine, a being, alive, ancient, watching. It spoke into their minds. You are nothing. Dust, emotion, weakness, Leo. Stepped forward. Then you should have feared dust. The final battle was not loud. It was personal. Leo fought the heart with everything he was, his training, his rage, his memories. Not to destroy, but to protect. For Sarah. For Earth. For the child who once made a promise under a starlit sky. Sarah, wounded, crawled to the controls. The virus was ready. She only needed 1 minute. Just hold it back, she screamed. Leo screamed too, in pain, in fury, in fire. He drove his energy into the core, and it shattered. The mothership began to collapse. They ran through crumbling halls, fire behind them, space cracking around them. They barely made it, to the escape pod. It launched just before the entire ship folded in on itself, vanishing into nothing. Back on Earth, the sky cleared, the stars returned. The Draken fleet, without command, panicked. Some fled, others shut down. Earth's resistance chased the rest out, united, roaring, alive. The war was over. 3 days later, the colony town stood quiet again. Children laughed, walls were painted. Lights were lit with hope, not fear. Sarah walked to the hill where it all began. Leo waited for her there. He was out of armor now, just a man again. She smiled, tears in her eyes. You kept your promise. He held out the silver ring. No, you did. You waited. She took it from his hand and slipped it on her finger. Then, they sat under the stars, not as ghosts, not as soldiers, but as two souls who had found their way home.